My love babies, I hope you are doing well and happy Monday! Exclamation mark. We're checking it off quickly, and I'm really proud of the great things I'm hearing about you and your work ethic. Well, this week's skill focus is addition with regrouping. In math, we're spiraling some of the old skills so that we don't forget them. And next year we will spend a couple of weeks playing a little bit of catch up and reviewing. But if you would get your Monday math, and it says our first problem is 741 plus 389. If you remember, we always start adding and subtracting in the what house? Who remembers? That's right. We always start in the ones house. So I like to take shortcuts. So I'm going to start with my biggest number and count up. 9 and 1 makes 10. And if you remember, the 0 is in the ones place, so it's going to stay in the ones. And here's our tens, and here's our hundreds. And our 1 is in a tens place, so he's going to go next door. And remember, I like to circle it so I don't forget to include to add it, or my answer will be incorrect. Math facts are very important. This way I'm not having to think or use fingers. I start with my biggest number. 8 plus 4 I know is 12. 12 plus 1 is 13. Well, 13 is a two-digit number. Who will stay? The 3 will stay, and the 1 will go. And I circle it so I don't forget to add it in. And so really, we're in the tens house now. We're moving over to the hundreds. So I have 7 and 3. We know that makes 10. 10 plus 1 gives me 11. So I'm going to add my comma. So my answer is 1,130. Very good. Let's try another one. Let's go next door and find problem number 2. Problem number 2 says it is 422 plus 999. Well, we got some big numbers here. So if you remember, it's very important to know we always start in the ones house.
Sorry.
Then we move next door. Sorry, my watch went off. Tens, and now hundreds. So let's find the ones house. I like to take the shortcut, start with my bigger number. 9 and 2, 11. Well, 11 is a two-digit number. So I am going to keep the 1 in the ones house, and this is my 10, so it will go next door. So 110 goes next door, and the 1 in the ones house stays. So we've done that. Now let's move to our tens. I'm going to do the same thing again. I know that's 11. We just did that. Plus 1 is 12. Well, 12 is a two-digit number. So I am going to leave the 2 and carry my 1. And I like to circle it so I don't forget to count it. Easy breezy. I know you remember this. 9 plus 4. Without thinking, we know that's 13. 13 plus 1 more gives me 14. So I write the whole 14. There's nobody to go next door. Insert my comma, and I am left with the answer 1,421. Good job, babes. These might seem like baby skills, but it is a really good review And if you're one number off, we know in math it's wrong. 400, I'm going across on your answer sheet. We've got 462 plus 899. Remember, we always start in the ones house. So we've got our ones, our tens, so this is 2. This is really 60, 62. And then our hundreds, that's where we get 462. So let's start in our ones. Start with my big number. 9 plus 2. 9, 10, that's 11. Well, 11's a 2-digit number. I want to make sure I keep the 1 in the ones house. And I carry the 1 next door. And I like to circle it so that I don't forget to count it. Remember, one strategy we learned earlier this year are look for ways to make 10. And I see a way right here. 9 and 1 is 10. 10 plus 6 gives me 16. So we have 16. With the 16, who is going to stay in the tens house? That's right. The 6 will stay in the tens house. So who goes next door? Of course, the 1 goes next door. 8 plus 4. I like to start with my bigger number. I know that's 12. 12 plus 1 gives me 13. So I write my 13 and insert my comma. I'm left with the answer, 1,361. We will do one more. And then I will cut you loose to practice on your own. We have 368 plus 993. Let's see if you remember. Where do I always start adding and subtracting? That's right. We're going to always begin in the ones house. Ones, tens, hundreds. Place value is so important. So let's find our ones and start counting. 8 plus 3, my big number's on top this time. 8 plus 3 is what? 11. Well, 11 is a 2-digit number. Who's going to stay? And who goes next door? Well, if we look, this one is in the ones house, and this one is in the tens house. Very good. Now, let's find a way to make 10 so we don't have to think much. 9 plus 1 makes 10. 10 plus 6 gives me 16. Who's going to stay in the tens house? The 6 stays in the tens house. That leaves who going next door? To the hundreds house. 1. Another way to make 10. Another way to make 10 is, I'm sorry, someone was calling. 9 plus 1 makes 10, and 10 plus 3 is 13. So I write my 13 down. 1, 2, 3, comma. And I like to insert my commas, boys and girls, because it helps me read numbers so much better. So we are left with 1,361. Great job. So this will be our skill focus for this week. You're going to add bigger numbers. Tomorrow you'll have a little assessment on it. And it should be something you really enjoy, and it should be easy. Please remember to work on Math Stars or continue in your math book, those of you that do find you need more challenge. So let's review real quick from last week. If I wanted to round this number, since we're talking about the hundreds, I want to round this to the nearest 100. I want to find the number in the hundreds house. So I identified it. if you remember, you are going to look right behind it, and there's a 6. So I know that all the number in front, the 1 is in front of the number I underlined, so I have to keep it. Can you see that 1? You can. Then I'll drop my comma. Now the 6, remember, if it's 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9, it's going to bump this up 1 more. So I'm going to turn this into a 4, and all the numbers behind the number that I'm rounding, these numbers, they turn into a 0. They turn into a 0. So that's a quick little review in our rounding from last week. But I hope you enjoyed this lesson, and I hope it helps you keep your head in the game. Be very careful with your math facts. This is something you should be able to make a really good grade on. But I'm really proud of you and your work ethic. I love you and I miss you, and I will see you Thursday on Zoom. Go get 'em, babies. Peace out.